Hello, Paul. Can we give an instruction session to the young people for the university?
Yes, Lucio. I've been promoting zero waste in Italy since at least 1998. And Zero Waste Italy is one of the sponsors of the Universiade. And we hope that the students who are coming from many different countries to compete in, I think it's 15 different sports, will take back the zero waste message to their own countries. This should be a global movement. Zero waste is a stepping stone to sustainability. And in my promotion, I have described 10 steps to zero waste. Step 1, separation. These 10 things make waste by mixing together. If you separate, you have resources. Step 2, door-to-door, porta-a-porta collection systems. And it's most important to separate the organics, clean organics, the organic fraction from the rest, because we want that clean so it can be composted and used in agriculture. Step 4 is recycling. So when we separate into recyclables, compostables, and the residuals. Step 5 is reuse and repair, reusare. And reuse is a small fraction of the total discarded materials, but it's a very valuable component, and it can be used for creating jobs, creating business, for good communication with the citizens who come to these facilities. We can train people to repair appliances. We can add value added to materials from deconstruction of buildings and so on. Many things can go on in the reuse and repair centers, which I hope to become community centers, that we sprinkle out the reuse and repair centers around the anonymous city. We know that people can come there, and the most valuable thing that they can get is not good objects, they can get lots of those, but to meet people, to make friends. Step 6 is the first step in reducing the residual fraction, what we call the pay-as-you-throw system. In this system, the compostables, the recyclables, there's no surcharge for that. But there is a surcharge for the residual fraction. The more you make, the more you pay. Or I prefer to say it, the less you make, the more you save. Because for example, in Campari, they have a special bag for the residual fraction. It has a microchip in it. You only pay when you put it out. You can put it out once a week, or if you don't make very much, once every 2 weeks, or even once every 3 weeks, or even once every 4 weeks. So you can save money. Step 7 is the thousands of other things which are happening to reduce waste. Reusable containers, reusable bottles, reusable bags, reusable straws, all the things that communities are beginning to ban around the world because of the terrible impact of plastics on the oceans. We have in particular reusable diapers. When they looked at the residual fraction in Campari, a zero waste city, of the 13%, 17% that was left over after you had 83% reduction, 14% of that residual 17% was disposable panolini, nappies, diapers. And so they now introduced a program of reusable diapers. And then in the cafeteria, replace the plastics with glass and china and stainless steel. Imagine if you did that in every cafeteria in every country. That would be a great reduction in waste. Now, if you put all those things together, from small cities to the small towns to large cities, we know that communities can get over 80%. San Francisco is over 80%. We have over 1,200 communities in Italy that are over 80%. But what about the rest? What about getting closer to zero waste? For that, we need industrial help. So for zero waste, we need community responsibility and industrial responsibility. We need to bring those two together. And the way we do that is for communities to say to industry, if we can't reuse it, if we can't recycle it, if we can't compost it, Industry shouldn't be making it. We need better industrial design for the 21st century. And that's where particularly students, professors and students at our universities around the world have a massive task. We have to design waste out of the system. So we have 4 R's now. The familiar 3 R's, reduce, reuse, recycle and compost, that adds up to community responsibility. But industrial responsibility, redesign. So step 9 is then the better industrial design. But I should say for step 8, we need to separate the residuals in front of the landfill, separate the residuals, pull out more toxics, more bulky items, and the dirty organic fraction is stabilized biologically above ground before it does damage to the groundwater or produces methane. Stabilize it biologically, either with a second composting operation or anaerobic digestion. Which brings us to step 10, which is the transitional landfill, the residual landfill, the landfill for the remaining non-recyclable and the stabilized organic fraction. And the idea is over the next 10, 20 years, the amount of waste that goes into that transitional landfill gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So it really is a transition to zero waste. So zero waste is no to incineration and no to mega landfill with these 10 steps. These 10 steps are practical, they're cost effective, they're relatively simple, and they take us in a wonderful direction, which starts with everybody with these 10 things, with separation, but by the time we get down to steps 8 and 9, we're dealing with professors and students, the brightest minds in our society. You, the students, the studenti, the professors who are interested in sustainability. Zero waste is your laboratory, and we need those bright minds to link to other aspects of sustainability.
Do you have some instruction to eat in the campus, in the restaurant of Universiadi for the composting and the mailbox?
See, in the cafeterias of this Universiad, they have gone to great lengths to design a special box for your food. So you get these boxes, you eat your food, hopefully it will be delicious, after all you are in Naples, or the area of Naples. You eat the food, and what's left over, hopefully won't be any left over, what's left over with the paper box goes into the composting bin. Everything will be composted, the paper, the cardboard, and of course whatever food is left over. And composting is so important. We need to compost the organics, get the organics back to the soil, back to growing more food.
And we need to say to the young people, to be unique is the slogan, University slogan. And after the other slogan, you yesterday tell us what is your slogan.
You know, there's a very big picture here which is very disturbing. As I'm sure you all know, there's an infinite supply of energy if we're clever enough to capture it with solar energy, which is going to be a very important aspect of the 21st century. But we don't have an infinite supply of materials. We've got what we've got, and I don't think we can send rocket ships to Mars to bring in more material. So with an ever-expanding population and unfortunately ever-expanding consumption, there's no way that with a finite supply of materials we can sustain the current or even improved standard of living. But rather than despair about that, I think what we have to do is to change this idea of standard of living to quality of life, which is a real challenge. It's a challenge to you. In other words, how can you consume less but enjoy more? We don't want you to be miserable. So what are the different ways that young people can come up with consuming fewer objects but enjoying life, having fun? Well, I can think of obvious ones: music, dancing, parties. Yes, all of that you can have fun. It really, for me, the opposite to consuming lots and lots of objects, which we cannot do. What we can consume an infinite supply of is friendship. We can make friends. We can make an infinite supply of friends. There's an infinite supply of love. Now, back in the 60s, we had the war in Vietnam, and the slogan was, "Make love, not war." But now we have a war on waste. So the new slogan is, "Make love, not waste." I'm sure you can do lots of that for us. Make love, not waste. And as you get older, maybe not so much love, make friends, not waste.
Thank you very much, Claude. Bye-bye. And good trip.
Good, thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.
I'm off to China now, and I hope I can persuade the Chinese that zero waste is the way to go. At the moment, they're building 300 incinerators. We have to say no. But good for us, the Chinese citizens are saying no to incineration. What I hope is the Chinese citizens will say yes to zero waste. Refugee zero.
We go to make a big battle.
Yes.
Okay.